Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Continuing Education, SOCE, Master of Science, Food Nutrition, MSc Revised, Second Year, MFN 005 Clinical Therapeutic Nutrition, Unit 15 Nutritional Management in Liver, Gallbladder and Pancreatic Diseases, 15.1 Introduction. The last unit dealt with the gastrointestinal disorders. Did you know that when we talk about the gastrointestinal system, we include the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas also because of their interrelated functioning? Thus, to complete our understanding in this regard, let us study the disorders of these vital components of the gastrointestinal system as well. This section will deal with the disease, etiology, symptoms, complications, and the nutritional management goals and dietary management, including foods to be avoided, restricted, and taken freely in liver, gallbladder, and pancreatic disorders. Objectives. After studying this unit, you will be able to describe the numerous functions of the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, discuss the disease conditions of these organs and how the functioning of these organs are compromised in various disease conditions, explain the causes of the disease and symptoms produced, elaborate on the principles involved in the nutritional and dietary management of these disorders, and list the foods that can be given and those avoided in these disease conditions. 15.2 Liver diseases. In our section on liver diseases, let us first get a brief input to understand the normal functioning of liver as an organ. This would help us to understand clearly the variety of conditions associated with the abnormal liver functioning, namely infective hepatitis, liver cirrhosis, and hepatic coma. From your understanding of the Applied Physiology course, MFN 001, you already know that liver is the largest and the most complex organ in the body. Let us briefly recall its functions. Functions of liver. The functions of the liver are most varied and extensive, and any change in the normal function can affect the nutritional status of an individual. The liver is considered one of the most important organs involved in the metabolism of each and every nutrient. Damage caused to liver can impair these and many vital processes in the body. The simple digested products of carbohydrates, glucose, fructose and galactose, fats, fatty acids, protein, amino acids, vitamins and minerals are taken to the liver. The liver stores many nutrients and also produces new compounds, which may contain fat and protein products that help in clotting of blood. The liver also removes the nitrogen produced as a result of protein breakdown and converts it into urea, which is then excreted from the blood through the kidneys. It also removes several toxins. The liver has a very important role to play in the metabolism of carbohydrates, fat, and protein metabolism. Now, let us get to know about the various metabolisms. Carbohydrate metabolism. Liver cells store energy in the form of glycogen and releases it as glucose when required. This conversion of sugar from carbohydrates is known as glycogenolysis. In the absence of carbohydrates, the proteins can also be converted to glucose, which is known as gluconeogenesis in the liver cells. Both glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis help to maintain normal blood sugar levels. Fat metabolism. It relates to the production, synthesis of triglycerides and phospholipids. Liver synthesizes lipoproteins, which are required for the transport of lipids to peripheral tissues for use or storage. It synthesizes cholesterol and converts 80% into bile and conjugated bile salts, and the remainder is transported in the form of lipoproteins. It is also involved in the oxidation of fatty acids to acetyl-CoA to give energy and the synthesis of bile and conjugation of bile salts. Protein metabolism. Liver removes the nitrogen from amino acids, known as deamination, which then could be used as an energy source or converted to carbohydrates and fats. It also converts ammonia to urea, a waste product of protein breakdown. It is the site of most plasma protein synthesis. It acts as a reserve of these proteins to replenish serum proteins. It maintains the level of non-essential amino acids, which promote tissue synthesis, mineral and vitamin metabolism. Liver is a storehouse of iron and is essential for hemoglobin formation and is stored in the form of ferritin. The liver destroys the RBC and recovers the iron from it. Other minerals like zinc and copper and many vitamins are also stored in the liver and play a role in the enzymatic reactions in metabolism. Liver is a storehouse of all fat-soluble vitamins. It is involved in the conversion of carotene to retinol. It is also needed for the activation of prothrombin and conversion of vitamin D to its active form 1,25-dihydroxy, called calciferol. Other functions, the liver converts carotene to retinol, a form of vitamin A. It synthesizes heparin, anticoagulant, which prevents intravascular coagulation of blood. We have read about the numerous functions of the liver. We can also understand that, in any infection, inflammation or damage to the liver, the normal working of the liver would be affected. This could be related to the storage function of bile, protein, fat and carbohydrates and other compounds, problems with waste production and excretion, and detoxification of poisons and toxins. An infected liver becomes sluggish and the patient shows signs of lack of appetite, symptoms of jaundice, yellow color due to bile, and even increase in liver enzymes. Jaundice is not a disease by itself but a disease. So let us know more about it. Jaundice. Jaundice is a term given to the yellow discoloration of the skin, mucous membranes, sclera and body tissues because of accumulation of bile pigments in the blood. It results due to an increase in bilirubin content of the blood above the normal range, 0.2 to 0.8 mg 100 dl plasma. The red blood cells, RBCs, are broken down in the liver after a duration of 120 days. The hemoglobin gives a pigment known as bilirubin. Under normal conditions, the liver cells absorb bilirubin and secrete it along with other bile constituents. If the liver is infected or diseased, or the flow of bile is obstructed, or if excess bile is produced, then it gets accumulated in the blood and eventually causes jaundice. Based on the cause of jaundice, it can be of three types: hemolytic, hepatic, and obstructive jaundice. Let us get to know about these types of jaundice. Hemolytic jaundice, it is also known as prehepatic jaundice. This relates to excessive destruction of RBC resulting in an increased bilirubin formation and anemia. There is an increased unconjugated plasma bilirubin, which is excreted through the urine, pigment known as urobilinogen. A healthy liver can handle a bilirubin load 6 times greater than normal before unconjugated bilirubin accumulates in plasma. Thus, this kind of jaundice is seen normally in individuals with congenital defects like sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, blood transfusion reactions, and septicemia. Hepatic jaundice. In this, there is a normal bilirubin production. The liver cannot convert fat-soluble bilirubin to the water-soluble form. Hence, there is a decreased conjugation leading to hepatocyte damage. An excessive amount of bilirubin is seen as a mixture of unconjugated and conjugated bilirubin. This condition leads to hepatocyte damage, jaundice. Failure of about 80% or more of hepatic functions is observed. Its clinical features include liver disease, increased unconjugated plasma bilirubin and increased alanine aminotransferase, ALT, aspartate transaminase, AST, enzymes. Obstructive jaundice, it is referred to as post-hepatic jaundice. This results from the interference of normal flow of bile into the duodenum due to stones, tumors, or inflammation of mucosa of the duct. This results in a backflow of bile into the bloodstream and is circulated in the body, giving a yellow color. Toxic jaundice, It is also known as hepatocellular jaundice. It originates from poisons, drugs, or viral infections of the liver. Having learnt about jaundice, which you know is a symptom rather than a disease, condition specific to liver diseases, next we shall learn about the conditions associated with the abnormal liver functioning, namely infective hepatitis, liver cirrhosis, and hepatic coma. We begin with infective hepatitis. 15.2.1 Viral hepatitis. Hepatitis is a condition of inflammation of liver, which can result in damage of the liver cells. A virus causes viral hepatitis, as liver cells are particularly susceptible to such infections. It causes damage to the liver cells and interferes with the uptake of bilirubin by the cells and its conjugation and excretion. It can be either in form of an acute or chronic condition and is caused due to different strains of viruses such as A, B, C, D, and E. Let us next learn how are these transmitted and the complications they can cause. 1. Hepatitis A. It is commonly called infectious hepatitis caused by a known virus. Hepatitis A, HIV. It is common among children and young adults. It is contracted through contaminated water, food and sewage and transmitted by fecal-oral route. 2. Hepatitis B and C. It is caused by a virus hepatitis B, HBV, and hepatitis C, HCV. It is more severe and prolonged in nature and can be fatal. It is transmitted by blood transfusion from a carrier, improperly sterilized medical instruments, dental drills, skin puncturing instruments that come in contact with contaminated blood, sexual contact and saliva of an infected person. Chronic active hepatitis can develop leading to cirrhosis and liver failure. 3. Hepatitis D. Hepatitis D virus, HDV, is dependent on the HBV for survival and propagation in humans. It may be a co-infection occurring at the same time as HBV or a super-infection superimposing itself on the HBV carrier state. This form of hepatitis becomes chronic. 4. Hepatitis E. Hepatitis E virus is transmitted via oral fecal route. Contaminated water is the major factor. Overcrowded, unsanitary areas are prone to acute form of this type of hepatitis. Acute hepatitis settles within a few, usually 6 weeks, and patient becomes asymptomatic. Hepatitis A virus is an example. Chronic hepatitis, a more complex form of disease, is caused mostly when acute hepatitis is neglected. The various symptoms of hepatitis are itchy skin, fatigue and fever, lack of appetite, nausea and vomiting, weight loss, jaundice, enlarged liver and spleen, mood swings, pain in joints of the body, osteomalacia and osteoporosis, autoimmune problems associated with high risk of cancer. These symptoms may be seen in both acute and chronic hepatitis. However, additional symptoms during severe chronic hepatitis may include chronic inflammation of liver, fibrosis, and finally death of liver cells, necrosis. Hepatitis virus B and C are known to elicit these symptoms. Having learnt about the acute and chronic hepatitis, let us next get to know about the causes for this condition. Etiology. The various causes of acute and chronic liver disease are enumerated herewith. Acute liver disease, recent origin, viral infection, hepatitis, non-viral infection, Coxiella burnetii, drugs, paracetamol, alcohol, poisons, aflatoxin. Others e.g. complications of pregnancy, chronic liver disease, hepatitis, drugs and toxins, alcohol, isoniazid, methotrexate. Neglected acute infections, hepatitis B, C virus, autoimmune disease, metabolic disorders e.g. Wilson's disease, hemochromatosis type 4, glycogen storage disease, alcohol, biliary obstruction, gallstones, narrowing of duct. Now you can understand the differences between acute and chronic hepatitis in terms of symptoms and causes. The latter is more serious and if unattended can lead to a more serious damage to the liver. The disease is called liver cirrhosis. We shall learn about this in greater details next. 15.2.2 Liver cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is a complication of many liver diseases that is characterized by abnormal structure and function of the liver. It is the final stage of liver injury and degeneration. We have already said that neglected chronic hepatitis can progress to liver cirrhosis. In this, the liver cells get inflamed, fibrous septa get developed, and the liver cells die, and finally, nodules develop which lead to obstructions and liver failure. In other words, the active liver tissue is replaced by inactive tissue incapable of normal functioning. Such cells get filled with fibrous tissue and fat. Thus, cirrhosis develops when the repair that is associated with the dying liver cells causes scar tissue to form. The liver cells that do not die multiply in an attempt to replace the cells that have died. This results in clusters of newly formed liver cells, regenerative nodules, within the scar tissue. These scar tissues increases blood pressure in portal vein known as portal hypertension. If it reaches more than 10 mmHg, can cause series of abnormal changes in the body, some of which are given below. The symptoms of liver cirrhosis are enumerated next. Symptoms. The common symptoms include GI disturbances, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain and distension, electrolyte and fluid imbalance, weight loss and muscle wasting, abnormal serum amino acid levels, fatty infiltration of the liver, severe jaundice, hepatic encephalopathy, mental problems ranging from mild confusion to coma, bleeding tendency, ascites, accumulation of fluid in the abdominal cavity, osteomalacia and osteoporosis, high drug sensitivity, chronic inflammation of the liver, fibrosis and fatty infiltration of the liver, necrosis, death of cells. So then, what is the cause for this liver condition? There are many causes of cirrhosis. These are listed next. Etiology. The etiology of cirrhosis can be enumerated as under: neglected acute chronic hepatitis, alcoholism associated with malnutrition, virus and toxins, metabolic disorders, prolonged biliary stasis, altered immune response. Wilson disease is a rare autosomal recessive disorder characterized by an abnormal copper transport and storage mechanism resulting in an excessive copper deposition in body tissues, mainly in brain, kidney, cornea, including liver, causing cirrhosis. Majority of the cases of cirrhosis are, however, due to chronic abuse of alcohol, which has a hepatotoxic effect leading to malnutrition. Since excess alcohol is a major cause of liver disorder, let us understand the complications that arise from excess alcohol consumption. Figure 15.2 depicts the complications. Look at the screen. Alcohol consumption can harm the liver by causing inflammation, necrosis due to fat accumulation in the cells, which reduces the normal functioning of the liver, causing serious vitamin and protein deficiency leading to malnutrition and changes in the metabolism of carbohydrate, protein and fat. For example, clotting defects could precipitate excess bleeding, protein deficiency could cause encephalopathy and result in coma. Portal hypertension could result in ruptured varices and ascites. Excess uric acid could precipitate gout and mineral deficiencies. Excess alcohol intake can cause multiple complications and malnutrition. Box 15.1 gives the various causative factors of malnutrition in liver disease. It can also affect the kidney, heart and the vessels and may cause other problems such as edema or ascites, bleeding. Gout and acidosis. This is clearly seen in figure 15.2 also. The pathogenesis of alcoholic liver disease progresses in 3 stages. Let us briefly understand these stages. Stage 1, hepatic steatosis of fatty liver. During this stage, the fat infiltrates into the functioning liver cells and cause problems in normal functioning of liver. The excess fat could come from the fat stores of the body, increased production of fat in the liver. This stage is reversible with abstinence from alcohol and if abuse continues. It can lead to hepatitis and cirrhosis. Stage 2. Alcoholic hepatitis. Alcoholic hepatitis is characterized by hepatomegaly, enlargement of liver. Patients have abdominal pain, anorexia, nausea, vomiting, weakness and diarrhea, weight loss and fever. If patient discontinues the alcohol intake, hepatitis may resolve or else it progresses to the third stage of alcoholic cirrhosis. Stage 3. Alcoholic cirrhosis. In this stage, patients develop further complications of ascites, gastrointestinal bleeding, portal hypertension, hepatic encephalopathy, and other symptoms of liver disease. At this stage, let us look at the general complications linked with liver cirrhosis. These are listed herewith. Complications. Major complications of cirrhosis include ascites, accumulation of water in abdomen, upper gastrointestinal bleeding, esophageal varices, hepatic coma or hepatic encephalopathy. A brief discussion on each of these follows. Ascites. It is a characteristic symptom of advanced stage of liver cirrhosis. It relates to the accumulation of massive quantities of fluid in the peritoneal cavity of the abdomen. This may be due to a. Portal hypertension, obstruction of portal blood vessels that increase intra-hepatic pressure, b. Hypoalbuminemia, a fall in colloidal osmotic pressure due to inadequacy of serum albumin, and c. Renal dysfunction, increased renal tubular sodium resorption and water retention. Esophageal varices. It relates to a state of varicose, distended or dilated veins in the esophagus and upper part of the stomach, which develops as a consequence of portal hypertension. Upper GI tract bleeding may be the risk associated with this state. Hepatic coma. It relates to a state of confusion, apathy, personality changes, asterixis, tremor of the hands when extended in front of the chest, and spasticity. We shall deal with it in much more details later in this unit. Box 15.1 Malnutrition in liver disease. Malnutrition is predominant in liver disease and it can be related to a number of factors such as decreased intake of food, impaired digestion and malabsorption, increased energy needs, inefficient protein synthesis, accelerated protein breakdown, and increased protein oxidation. These factors are reviewed herewith. 1. Decreased intake of food is generally due to anorexia, nausea and vomiting, early satiety, unpalatable diet, drugs used to impaired digestion and absorption could also result due to pancreatic insufficiency, bile salt deficiency, impaired absorption, mucosal defect, portal hypertensive enteropathy. Major defect is in fat, digestion and absorption leading to steatorrhea. 3. Increased energy requirements. The energy needs increase considerably and, if not met, worsens the condition of liver. 4. Insufficient protein synthesis. 5. Accelerated protein breakdown. 6. Increased protein oxidation. All 4, 5 and 6 factors related to protein metabolism require an increased protein intake and if not met leads to malnutrition. 7. Alcohol consumption replaces food in the diet and supplies empty calories. Alcohol is a source of empty calories, 7 kcal, and does not contain any other vital nutrient. The energy supplied also is lost to a great extent due to the wasteful pathways which alcohol metabolism takes. Alcohol causes inflammation of the stomach, pancreas and intestine and interferes with the normal processes of digestion and absorption. It may lead to malabsorption of nutrients like thiamine, vitamin B12, folic acid and vitamin C. Alcohol gets converted to acetaldehyde, which in turn interferes with the activation of vitamins by the liver cells. So numerous dietary nutrients are not synthesized or activated, which leads to malnutrition. Alcoholism and malnutrition forms a vicious circle that is difficult to break. Finally, let us get to learn about hepatic coma. 15.2.3 Hepatic encephalopathy, HE, or hepatic coma. Hepatic encephalopathy is brain and nervous system damage that occurs as a complication of liver disorders that reduce liver functioning, as in hepatitis or cirrhosis. It is a complex syndrome characterized by neurological disturbances. The disease is precipitated by GI bleeding, infection, constipation, vomiting, tips, non-compliance with lactulose therapy, etc. The symptoms associated with it are changes in mental state, consciousness, personality, and behavior changes characterized by the following signs: mild confusion, euphoria or depression, decreased attention, slowing of activity to perform mental tasks, irritability, and disorder of sleep pattern, drowsiness, lethargy, speech disorientation, incomprehensive speech, and finally coma. Besides the neurological changes, the blood picture shows some abnormalities. These include 1. Elevated blood ammonia levels, ammonia not converted to urea by liver. 2. High blood concentration of aromatic amino acids, AA, especially phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan, an increase in methionine, lysine, glutamine, asparagine, and histidine, threonine, glycine, and serine, which are the ammonogenic amino acids. In other words, they can produce ammonia, which worsen the condition. 3. Low levels of branched chain amino acid, BCA, leucine, isoleucine, and valine in plasma due to a depression in the process of gluconeogenesis and ketogenesis, the processes through which they are used as a source of energy by skeletal, muscle, heart, and brain. 4. Altered plasma amino acids composition, decreased ratio of BCA to AA. There are 4 clinical stages of hepatic encephalopathy. 1. Stage I: mild confusion, euphoria or depression, decreased attention, agitation, irritability, sleep disturbance, slowing of ability to perform mental tasks. 2. Stage 2: lethargy, disorientation, inappropriate behavior, irritability in performing mental tasks. 3. Stage 3: somnolent but arousable, incomprehensible speech and confused, aggressive behavior when awake. 4. Stage 4: coma. The causes for this liver condition are enumerated next. Etiology: the cause of encephalopathy is unknown, but there are 3 proposed mechanisms leading to it. These include 1. Accumulation of increased toxins due to impaired liver functions. Excess, ammonia being the major toxin. 2. Altered plasma amino acid composition. Decreased ratio of BCA to AA, which leads to false neurotransmitter impulses in the brain and hence neurological symptoms. 3. An increase in serum and brain neuroinhibitory substances like increased gamma-aminobutyric acid GABA levels. The discussion so far focused on the numerous functions of the liver. We also looked at the fact that in any infection, inflammation, or damage to the liver, the normal working of the liver is affected. Common liver diseases include vital hepatitis, cirrhosis, hepatic coma. An infected liver becomes sluggish and the patient shows signs of lack of appetite, symptoms of jaundice, yellow color due to bile, and even increase in liver enzymes. Jaundice is not a disease by itself. It is a symptom. So what can be done to manage these liver diseases? The nutritional management of liver diseases is highlighted next. 15.3 Nutritional management of liver diseases. Having gone through the information presented in the sections above, it must be evident that malnutrition is predominant in liver diseases and it can be related to a number of factors such as decreased intake of food, impaired digestion and malabsorption, increased energy needs, inefficient protein synthesis, accelerated protein breakdown, and increased protein oxidation. The diet of the patient must be individualized. The main goals of dietary management for a liver disease patient should be maintain adequate nutrition, prevent breakdown of body protein tissue, control of edema and ascites, and prevent symptoms of encephalopathy. However, since each disease condition is specific, the dietary recommendations too are specific. We shall look at the dietary recommendations for each disease condition separately. Let us now review the dietary guidelines for each condition one by one. We begin with the dietary recommendations for viral hepatitis. 5.3.1 Dietary recommendations for viral hepatitis. An increased carbohydrate, increased protein and moderate fat diet is advised in the case of viral hepatitis with vitamin and mineral supplementation as you may have noted in table 15.1 above. The requirements for individual nutrients are reviewed. Further, carbohydrates, liberal intake of CHO is advised, 300 to 400 g. This is to prevent endogenous breakdown of protein, thus having a protein-sparing effect, increase the intrahepatic glycogen stores to improve the functioning and protect the liver against infectious agents. The caloric intake advised for adults is 35 to 40 kcal IBW or as per the requirement to maintain a desirable body weight. Proteins, moderate protein intake in the diet is required for the following reasons: to prevent negative N to balance, which may lead to hypoproteinemia, 4. Adequate tissue regeneration, especially of parenchymal cells, and prevent fatty infiltration of liver cells, thus 1.5 to 2.0 gkg IBW protein is recommended. Supplements of high protein beverages are recommended in between the meals. Fats should not be severely restricted as they can make the food unpalatable. About 20% of the total calories should be from fat. MCT are preferred as they are easily digestible and assimilable, 40 to 50 g. For examples, dairy fat, cream and butter are preferable. Vitamins, supplementation of B-complex vitamin and C should be given. Minerals, sodium restriction is required only if there is fluid retention. Potassium, supplements are necessary with diuretic therapy. Iron supplementation is needed only if there is anemia. Keeping these considerations in mind, the food items for a patient with viral hepatitis showing symptoms of obstructive jaundice have been included in table 15.2 for your reference. You can use this information while planning diets for hepatitis patients in the practical manual MFNL 005. Table 15.2 Food items for a patient with viral hepatitis or obstructive jaundice. Freely given foods, cereals, bread or chapatis of wheat, rice, maida, suji, maj, jowar, bajra or ragi, breakfast cereal of broken wheat, rice, oatmeal or maj, milk or milk products, soups, vegetable salad, vegetables, cooked potato, sweet potato or yam, fruits, fruit juices, sugar, jaggery or honey, jam or murabba, jellies and other sugar, concentrates, biscuits, desserts as light custard or ice cream, beverages, water, liberal, glucose water, foods to be avoided, whole pulses, dal or beans, red meat, high-fat organ meats, egg, fried foods, butter, restricted, nuts and all seeds, dry fruits, condiments and spices, papad, chutney or pickles, strong tea or coffee, alcoholic beverages. 5.3.2 Dietary recommendations for liver cirrhosis. Refer to table 15.1. A high carbohydrate, moderate protein and low-fat diet is advised to a patient with liver cirrhosis along with vitamin and mineral supplementation. Since anorexia is at its peak, the food should be given in several feedings with moderate portions, 6 to 8 feedings. The diet needs progression from liquid, soft to normal diet, depending on the acute stage and recovery. Judicious use of spices and condiments to stimulate appetite is needed. High-calorie and protein beverages are useful in between meals. In case of complications of encephalopathy, protein should be modified according to needs. Fat also needs to be less and gradually increased as the subject improves. Nutrition care should maintain or improve the nutritional status. Individualized diets must be given depending on the degree of malnutrition and tolerance level of the patient. Counseling the patient on diet and food choices is helpful. What should be the ideal dietary intake that would help to minimize the symptoms and complications? Let us read and find out. Proteins intake to be adjusted as per the individual requirement depending on the pathological state. A protein intake high enough to maintain nitrogen balance and low enough to prevent hepatic coma in the initial stages is recommended. In uncomplicated hepatitis or cirrhosis without encephalopathy, a protein requirement 1 gkg of dry weight day to achieve nitrogen balance is advised. To promote nitrogen accumulation or positive balance, at least 1.2 to 1.5 gkg daily is needed. Protein intake is restricted to 0.6 to 0.8 g day only for short duration of time depending on precipitating ammonia levels and if there are signs of impending coma. In situations of stress such as alcoholic hepatitis or sepsis, infection, GI bleeding, severe ascites, at least 1.5 g of protein kg day should be provided. Carbohydrates. To ascertain the carbohydrate need is challenging because of deteriorating functional state of liver, which favors preference for alternative fuels. Depending on the state of the liver, the carbohydrate content is kept adequate, 300 to 400 g day, for its protein-sparing effect. It protects and supports the liver function. Adequacy of calories for maintaining weight needs to be emphasized. Emphasis should also be on improving the total intake of the patient. An intake of 25 to 35 kg estimated dry body weight should be used in calculations to prevent overfeeding. Intravenous glucose administration must be done only if there is severe nausea and vomiting. Fats, steatorrhea or fatty infiltration of liver may be seen in a cirrhosis patient. Thus, a moderate intake with the substitution of medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, may prove to be effective in reducing malabsorption of fat. Vitamins. Supplementation with vitamins is desired to replenish liver stores and repair tissue damage, especially if the patient has anorexia. This is due to the intimate role of liver in nutrient transport, storage and metabolism, in addition to the side effects of the drugs used. The vitamins of importance are water-soluble vitamins pyridoxine, cyanocobalamin, folate, niacin and thiamine associated especially with alcoholic liver disease leading to Wernicke's encephalopathy. Deficiency of fat-soluble vitamin has been observed due to malabsorption and decreased storage capacity of diseased liver. Therefore, supplementation is necessary using water-soluble forms. Minerals, calcium, magnesium and zinc are the important minerals as the serum levels tend to decrease in cirrhotics due to malabsorption associated with steatorrhea. Thus, adequate doses as per the requirements should be supplemented. Sodium. Restriction of sodium is essential if edema and ascites are present. Sodium restriction up to 500 mg per day is seen with ascites but generally relaxed to 2 g day with diuretics. An extremely low sodium diet can affect the palatability as well as increase risk to hyponatremia. Emphasis must be on low sodium foods and avoidance of table salt or salt in food preparation. Look up Unit 11, subsection 1 1.3.3 for low sodium food items. Also, protein intake must be adequate without increasing sodium intake. Serum sodium and potassium levels need to be closely monitored. Fluids, these may need not be severely limited if sodium restriction is effective in correcting edema and ascites. No more than 1,500 milliliters of fluid day is given. Fluid requirement is generally worked out as per the previous day urinary output coupled with the insensible losses, perspiration, breath, feces, etc., which normally amounts to 500 milliliters per day as well as loses due to diarrhea or vomiting, if any. Fiber. Reduction in fiber content is necessary in advanced cirrhosis to prevent danger of hemorrhage from esophageal varices. Hence, liquid and soft diet and small meals are emphasized. Considering these dietary guidelines, the foods which may be permitted and which should be excluded from the diet of a patient suffering from cirrhosis is given in Table 15.3. A sample menu for a cirrhotic patient providing roughly 2000 kcal and 60 g proteins is given in Box 15.2, Table 15.3. Permitted and excluded foods. Permitted foods: bread, wheat, rice, maj, jowar, bajra. Breakfast cereals, pasta and other refined cereals like maida, suji etc., turned milk and its products like paneer, curd etc., washed and split pulses and beans, sugar, jaggery, honey, jam or murabba, jellies, lean meat, egg white, fish or chicken, fat or butter, cream, potato, sweet potato or yam, pastries, dessert, sweetmeat, beverages, lemonade, fruit juices. Excluded foods: fried foods, organ meat, egg yolk, whole pulses and fiber-rich cereals like oats, barley, extra salt and baking soda. Preserved foods and foods containing salt like papads, chutneys, pickles etc. Box 15.2 sample menu for a patient suffering from liver cirrhosis: bed tea, tea, coffee, lime juice, fruit juice. Biscuits, 2, breakfast, milk, skim tund, 1 glass, or egg white, to number, porridge, 1 bowl, cornflakes, semolina, 2 slice of bread with jam or 2 small chapati with vegetable, fruit, 1, mid-morning, sweet lassi, fruit juice, coconut water, ruhafza, water, lime juice, soup, 1 glass, lunch, chapati, 2 3, or rice, 1 big bowl, 40 g, dal, 1 katori. Fish, chicken may be given but not more than twice a week. Soft vegetable, 1 katori. Curd, 1 katori. Fruit, 1. Evening tea,